This has been the year of laying the groundwork for delivering the Green Deal. And when it comes to the energy sector, we have already put in place 3 cornerstones: the energy system integration strategy, hydrogen strategy, and the renovation wave. And today we lay the 4th, this offshore renewable energy strategy. And on this, we can build a strong, durable foundation for the climate-neutral energy system of the future. Currently, about 1/5 of the EU's energy comes from renewable sources. By 2050, renewable energy must power most of our climate-neutral economy, and we will need massive amounts of green electricity to replace coal, lignite, and gas. And many countries are already phasing these out or will in the future. Offshore energy, and wind in particular, can give us the push we need towards our targets fast and at scale. In this strategy, we have set our sights on 300 gigawatts of offshore wind and 40 gigawatts of ocean energies across the EU sea basins by 2050. Already by 2030, we want to increase offshore wind capacity at least 5 times to 60 gigawatts and produce at least 1 gigawatt of ocean energy. We are well positioned to get there. The EU is the global technological leader both in offshore wind and ocean energies. In 2018, our share of global offshore turbine exports was 47%, and 8 out of the top 10 global exporters were EU countries. All the world's ocean energy projects currently use EU technologies. We know from experience that with the right policy support, technologies can develop quickly and costs can come down fast. In fact, there has been no other energy technology that has come from an idea to maturity as rapidly as offshore wind. The fact that some new installations are now cheaper than fossil fuel-based energy generation is very telling. But scaling up so quickly and massively will not happen by itself. We don't just need to build more, bigger wind turbines or new tidal power plants. Larger volumes will change our energy sector in a fundamental way. And while a green integrated energy system needs more renewable energy also requires an integrated energy system in turn, and their success is dependent on one another. First, we need to plan. To install 300 plus 40 gigawatts of offshore renewable energy will mean many more sites for production and connections to the power grid. But while it is still only 3% of EU's maritime space, we need to make sure that we are not planning in isolation. Our energy needs can and should be aligned with our environmental principles and everything else that takes place in the sea: fishing, shipping, tourism, defense. This is why the member states need to include their offshore renewable energy development objectives in their national maritime spatial plans to be submitted by March 2021. Moving away from planning in isolation also means increased cooperation between countries and planning based on sea basins, not individual member states. Close regional cooperation is absolutely necessary for scaling up the offshore energy generation in an efficient, cost-effective, and sustainable way. Second, we need to connect. Generating energy is not enough. This energy needs to be delivered to the consumers on land, and without the appropriate offshore electricity grid to bring power efficiently on shore, our plans for renewable offshore energy will stall. We are currently working on the revision of the 10E regulation to be delivered later this year. With 10E, we will propose a new framework for offshore grid infrastructure development, a system where member states could agree on regional long-term commitments for offshore energy generation and a joint vision for grid planning. Third, we need suitable forward-looking market rules. The current rules were conceived for traditional onshore projects. To reach our targets, we need a framework better adapted to the needs of offshore installations as well as the future energy islands and hybrid projects that are connected to several member states. To provide clarity and long-term legal certainty, today we published the market guidance for hybrid projects, and to facilitate them, we are proposing to create offshore bidding zones. This ensures that offshore power can flow to the market where it is needed, supporting regional security of supply. We plan to target amendments to the current rules in the area of congestion income to incentivize the development of integrated hybrid projects. We'll also amend the connection codes to adapt to the new offshore developments. In addition, by the end of 2021, the Commission will revise the guidelines on state aid for energy and environmental protection and ensure that they support the goals of this strategy. Finally, I want to underline that this is a strategy that benefits Europe as a whole. All 5 of our sea basins, the North Sea, the Black Sea, the Mediterranean, the Baltic Sea, and the Atlantic, have significant offshore renewable potential, be it wind, wave, or tidal. The industry supporting offshore renewable energy is pan-European, and even countries without direct access to the sea are part of the growing value chain. For example, wind turbine components are manufactured in Czechia, Austria, and inland regions of Spain, France, Germany, and Poland. The sector includes hundreds of operators, many of which are SMEs, that supply components. Already today, the offshore wind industry employs 62,000 people, and ocean energy about 2,500. There is potential for much more, which is, of course, especially relevant as we recover from the global pandemic and look for a greater number of sustainable jobs. The development of the offshore renewable energy industry offers new opportunities for regions that are most affected by the transition to the climate-neutral economy. And we can already see this happening in some member states. And the EU support to this process is also available, for example, through Just Transition Mechanism and Fund. As Franz said, offshore energy is a true European success story, and it is also an all-European success story. With this strategy, we intend to add another chapter to this tale and make the EU the global powerhouse of offshore renewable energy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner, and thank you, Executive Vice President.